Shabbat Shalom. I just want to welcome everyone to the Sabbath Day conference call. This is Barbara serving as your host today, and Brother P is here as your co-host.
Yes, and I'm so glad that y'all were able to join us with this inciting material.
Well, here's a question, or maybe a thought. Crucifixion was not on a Friday? There are those who seem to feel very much concerned about the date of the crucifixion of Jesus. Well, this magazine that goes out to ministers says, well, the important thing is that he died for our sins and that he rose again, that in him we be made alive.
Crucifixion weekend refers to the Christian holy days of Good Friday, when Jesus is believed to have been crucified, and the following Holy Saturday, encompassing the period between Jesus' death on the cross and his resurrection on Easter Sunday, essentially the weekend where the crucifixion event is commemorated within the Easter narrative. That from Wikipedia.org.
Scholars have generally agreed that the only dates that the crucifixion could have taken place was AD 30, 31, or 33. And the reason for these years is that there are other historical events in the New Testament era that took place at known dates that must be taken into consideration and placed in the timeline.
There is no consensus regarding the exact date of the crucifixion of Jesus, although it is generally agreed by biblical scholars that it was on a Friday or on near Passover, Nisan 14, during the governorship of Pontius Pilate, who ruled from 26 to 36 AD. Various approaches have been used to estimate the year of crucifixion, including the canonical Gospels, the chronology of the life of Paul, as well as different astronomical models. Scholars have provided estimates in the range of 30 to 33 AD, with Rainer Reisner stating that, quote, the 14th of Nisan, that's the 7th of April, of the year 30 AD, is apparently, in the opinion of the majority of contemporary scholars as well, far and away the most likely date of the crucifixion of Jesus. Another preferred date among scholars is Friday, the 3rd of April, AD 33.
So I'll leave all these links below for you to study out for yourself. So you cannot count backward by 7 to any of the years accepted by these scholars for the crucifixion, the years of 30, 31, or 33 AD, and find a Friday, Saturday, Sunday crucifixion weekend. If you count all the way back by 7s on a Gregorian calendar, this is what would happen. Any moon phase calendar will tell you that the Passover full moon would have been on the pagan Wednesday in AD 27, on the pagan Monday in AD 28, on the pagan Sunday in AD 29, on the pagan Thursday in AD 30, on the pagan Wednesday in AD 31, on the pagan Sunday in AD 32, on the pagan Thursday in AD 33. There is no Friday listed in any of those years when you go back and look at the moon phase calculator. So this alone does not prove a lunar calendar or a lunar Sabbath, but what this does prove is that there were no Friday, Saturday, or Sunday weekend Passovers on any of the dates between 27 and 33 AD, covering all the suspected years of the crucifixion.
We agree that the Passover date is always the 14th day of Aviv or Nisan, Leviticus 23:5 states, "In the 14th day of the first month at even is Yahweh's Passover." Do we agree that Passover is at the time of the full moon?
So the Bible states that the day after Passover is the weekly Sabbath.
Mark 15:42 says, "And now, when the even was come, because it was the preparation, that is the day before the Sabbath." Luke 23:54-56, "And the women also, which came with him from Galilee, followed after, and beheld the sepulchre, and how his body was laid. And they returned and prepared spices and ointments, and rested the Sabbath day according to the commandment." John 19:31, "The Jews therefore, because it was the preparation, that the bodies should not remain on the cross on the Sabbath day, for that Sabbath day was a high day, besought Pilate that their legs might be broken, and that they might be taken away."
Okay, so why did John say that Sabbath was a high day? Was it a weekly Sabbath? Well, here's a quote from another of the same magazine that is sent out to ministers all over the world, and they say, "Some have said that the Sabbath that followed the crucifixion was the Passover Sabbath, and that it came that year on Thursday. The Passover Sabbath that year must have come on a seventh-day Sabbath, for we read in John 19:31 that Sabbath day was a high day. It was called a high day because the Passover and the seventh-day Sabbath came on the same day that year." And this is from this magazine. So if the Passover Sabbath came on Thursday that year and Jesus was crucified on a Wednesday, then why did the disciples wait until Sunday morning to come to the tomb to finish the work of embalming the body of Jesus? This they certainly would have done on a Friday, which is known as a preparation day for this organization.
Well, that brings us to these questions. What is a high Sabbath? And to answer that question, we have to ask this: what does the Greek word mega, which is translated high, actually mean? Now, if you study the word mega, you find that one of its clear meanings is full or complete. So if you got a container that was mega, it was a full container. So if you look at this word in context of the passage, it can be read that it was a Sabbath of the full or complete. Well, what was it? This was the date of the full moon. This is 14 days into the month. Therefore, it can clearly mean that it is the date of the full moon. It's a special full moon, a special Sabbath, because it is a Sabbath of the full moon.
So if Saturday was the Sabbath in AD 31, Friday would have been Passover. But there are no Friday, Saturday, Sunday crucifixion weekends that fit into that between AD 27 and 33.
Passover was a lunar event, the 14th day of the first lunar month at the full moon. The main phases can be arithmetically determined past and future with accuracy.
The pagan planetary week was not employed by Israel in the first century. They observed the lunar solar calendar that was established at creation, a fact corroborated by historians and proved in Scripture. Rome was not using the current Gregorian calendar in the first century. Rome had an 8-day market calendar, and their days were lettered from A through H, an 8-day week. Rome did not officially adopt the pagan 7-day planetary week until AD 31, and that was by Emperor Constantine. The current calendar that we have today is the Roman Gregorian calendar, and it was not invented until 1582 by Pope Gregory XIII.
Rome was using an 8-day weekly calendar in the 1st century. Therefore, it is false to assume that the crucifixion was on a Friday, followed by a Saturday in the grave, and a Sunday resurrection.
Israel was not using the Julian or Gregorian calendar in the 1st century. They were using the calendar of creation. And we have a lot of historical quotes. These are just 3 here for you to read today.
Sabbath and new moon, that's Rosh Chodesh, both periodically reoccurring in the course of a year. The new moon is still, and the Sabbath originally was, dependent upon the lunar cycle. That's from Universal Jewish Encyclopedia. The Hebrew month is a lunar month, and the quarter of this period, one phase of the moon, appears to have determined the week of 7 days. That's from Encyclopedia Biblica. The early Hebrews employed lunar 7-day weeks, which ended with special observances on the 7th day, but nonetheless were tied to the moon's course. That from Hutton Webster in his book, Rest Days.
So the Passover will prove which day is the Sabbath. So to access more information about the calendar in the heavens, it tells us when Sabbaths are, and to access more historical records to prove when Sabbath was at the time of Yeshua, when he was here, at the time of the crucifixion and the resurrection, I encourage you to go to our website, LunarSabbathDay.com. So thank you for being here today.